Hi everyone, it's gingerbread time at So White. And okay, so the basic ingredients you're going to need is dark muscovado sugar, and that's 50 grams of that. Plain flour, that's 162 grams. Butter, 62 grams. Golden syrup, bicarb of soda, and of course the ground ginger. Okay, so to get started, what you need to do is put the butter, the sugar, and the maple syrup into a pan. And we're going to melt it all together. And this does get hot, so if you're doing this with kids, I think this is probably the bit where you should do it and let them cut all the patterns out at the end, but it does get really hot. Okay, and so you need 2 tablespoons of golden syrup. Squeezy bottle golden syrup is absolutely brilliant for this. Well, it's actually brilliant for everything, I love it. Okay, there we go. So yeah, really easy. Put it all into a pan and you're going to put it on the heat and just let it slowly melt down. Don't put it on a high heat because you don't want it to burn, you just want it to soften and all mix together. Okay, so let's put that on the heat. As you can see, it's turning into a really beautiful glossy mixture. It's just the last bits of butter and sugar that need to go down. Okay, so take it off the heat, and you could use this straight away, but what I prefer to do is just leave it to cool down slightly, because now it's all mixed, it's absolutely fine. So we go back to the worktop and we do the flour part of it. While the golden syrup, butter and sugar are just cooling slightly, you're going to sift in plain flour. I use a little sift because if I use a big one I tend to get it everywhere but in the bowl. So it might take a little bit longer, but that's fine. So tip it all in. Okay, so you also want to add of bicarb. You want to add half a teaspoon. So I've got my half a little teaspoon measure. And sift that in as well, just get any lumps. And you also want to add 2 teaspoons of ginger. I take the lid off for this because otherwise I tend to get it everywhere. Okay. Okay, so there's 1. And there's 2. And just mix it all together so it's nice and even, and the smell of the ginger is so good. Okay, so the hot mixture has been on. It's, you know, it's still quite runny. You want it to still, if it started to stick to the bottom of the pan, you need to re-warm it. Because if it's already started turning back into sugary bits, that's not really what you want. Okay, so the really simple thing is you just pour it into the flour. Try and get all of it out. Okay, so that's in there. Leave that pan to soak straight away, otherwise it gets really sticky. And then what I do is just mix it together into wonderful little crumbs. Okay, so I think that's quite, oh, it's hot. Yeah, as I was saying before, it is hot. It is still quite warm. Okay, so yeah, take a look at our cutters page. We've got all brand new ones for Christmas, all different shapes. Okay, so it's quite crummy at this point, but when you start using your hands, it will all start sticking together. Okay, so it is still quite warm. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I've got my So White rolling mat. Doesn't matter if it's upside down. I'm going to got just an extra little tub of flour. Okay, so I'm going to put just a little bit on my hands and on there, just to keep it just a little bit of extra non-stick, because this stuff is quite sticky. Okay, and then use your hand just to pull out the last crumbs. And you can really if you get any crumbs, just pour them onto the top, because you can work them in with your hands. Right, more flour on the top, on the bottom, and get a good sheet on there as well. Okay, and what's good to do is just sort of keep putting just a little bit of flour on, turn over a little bit of flour. Oh, I've got a bit stuck. Okay, a little bit more flour. Oh, a bit broken, that's fine. So what I've got, my little trusty Christmas tree cutter, and just going to cut out a couple of shapes. Okay, so there's a couple cut out. I'm just going to get a baking tray for them to go on. Okay, so I'm going to pull the gingerbread away where I don't need it. And there we go. Just put the Christmas trees on there. This cutter is available on the website if you want. Oh, I just broke it. Never mind. Okay, so we cut one more. Okay, so I've got 4 little Christmas trees. If you want to make these into hanging decorations for your Christmas tree, just take a regular straw, and I do this when it's on the baking tray because it's just a little bit stronger. And there you go, you've got perfect holes for hanging the gingerbread up. So you can do it. And because it's such thin plastic, it will cut through without really changing the shape of the gingerbread as much. Which is great, hanging gingerbread decorations on Christmas trees. Lovely, it's one of my favourite things. So there we go, I'm going to cut some more and put them in the oven and we'll see how they turn out. Okay, so here are the little gingerbread Christmas trees fresh out of the oven. You can see that the holes have come out really well in all of them. They haven't closed up, which is fantastic. Okay, so I'll put them on the cooling rack for now. So at this point you could wait for them to cool and then decorate them, or you could do whatever you want. There's so many things you could do. I like a little bit of icing on them. I think that looks quite nice. But I think for these ones, I think I might just have to have them dunked in a cup of tea right now while they're still warm.